All right, welcome. I'm going to be talking about your informative speech. In this one, I'm going to be talking about your intro, and then I'll talk about your body's paragraph, not your bodies, but your body paragraphs in the next video. So we talked a little bit about the IBC structure. This has to be IBC. However, in this one, your speech is also going to have two other elements. You're going to have a visual aid. To understand a little bit more about that, I will produce a video on it, but also you need to go and watch the video that I did on Panopto. Panopto is actually what you will use to produce and upload your speech. We're not going to use MediaShare for this one. We're going to use Panopto. Now, your grades will still go into MediaShare. I'll put them in there. But for the most part, right, Panopto is what will be used to upload. So that's all you have to do. So go see that Panopto video that I did. Second, this is going to require a small amount of academic research. You're going to need at least 3 or 4 good sources. And when I say good, I don't mean Wikipedia and random web pages. You'll need some decent academic sources, or at least what I would call reputable sources, which would be sources that come from newspapers like the New York Times or Time Magazine, science magazines, things like that. So it's very important that you do that. We'll talk about that a little more in the body when I show you how to build a body paragraph. And then also you'll need a subordinated outline, which once again, I'm going to be producing a short video showing you how to use the Pearson student tools to produce a little outline. And I'll also be explaining your sample outline speech. So that's the document. For this speech, we're just going to be talking about the introduction. So the structure for this, of course, is introduction, body, conclusion, and we've already covered IBC structure when we did the introductory speech. However, you're going to need to demonstrate that you can do that in an in-depth manner in your informative. So introductions need, and these are 5 steps, basically, an attention-getting device, a statement of purpose, a thesis, an overview, and a transition. A successful introduction, i.e. an introduction that will get you the full amount of points, will have all 5 of these elements. So when you're outlining your speech, when you're in outline phase, check to make sure that you have all of them. And the Pearson will sort of walk you through that to make sure that you have all of these things. But basically, you need to make sure of it yourself. So the first one, an AGD, or attention-getting device. This is a fact, figure, or quote, right, that will catch the audience interest. A great place to see examples for the AGDs is in MCLP. There's a lot of sort of sample informative speeches. Basically, I linked a whole lot of those for your work. You should be looking at those and viewing them, because watching other people do it will give you a good idea of what you should be doing yourselves. So please go check those out. There's also, like I said, there's a whole chapter on introductions. So that's a great resource for you to understand a little bit more. But for example, here is an attention-getting device. According to Research Daily News 2015, an ant can lift over 5,000 times its body weight. That's pretty impressive, but don't count us humans out yet. Currently, according to the New Scientist 2015, the current max amount a human can lift is over 800 pounds. That's about 7 times the body weight of an average human. And remember, a human weighs a lot more than an ant. So, as we can see, right, we open up with the idea that an ant can lift all this weight, but 800 pounds is nothing to sniff at. That's a pretty large number. So, that's the attention-getting device. It is an interesting fact, and then another interesting fact that relates to the topic of your speech. So the second is a statement of purpose, or SOP. The statement of purpose is basically an introduction to you, the speaker. It could be your name. It could also be something that you know about it. I've been lifting, the example that I use here is weightlifting. So, I've been lifting weights for 5 years or something. I haven't. I'm scrawny, but this is the example that we use in this speech. Introduction to you, the speaker, and your topic, and also directly precedes your thesis. So the example, hi, my name is Nathan Hulsey, and I'm here today to explain how weightlifting is great exercise. Sure, right? That's very general. That's not your thesis. Your thesis can't be, I'm here today to talk about weightlifting. That's not a thesis. That's a statement of purpose. That's just a general overview of the topic. So your statement of purpose introduces you as a speaker and gives you a brief intro. It also leads directly into your thesis. It's a general statement, basically, right, that says exactly what you'll be talking about, but it's not very specific. So the next thing that you're going to want to look at is your thesis. And a thesis is the direct statement on what will be covered in the speech. So I couldn't just say that I'm doing a speech on weightlifting. I've already said that in my statement of purpose. I have to say exactly what I will be covering about weightlifting. We've already covered some of this in the other thing I gave on IBC structure, but we're going to go a little more in depth here. So, while I already said this speech is going to be about weightlifting, that's really just saying what the speech is about. An example of a decent thesis would be, while it's commonly misunderstood as being an incomplete workout, weightlifting is actually a full spectrum exercise that includes resistance training, dexterity, and anaerobics. See, now we know what the speech is going to be about. It's going to be about resistance training, it's going to be about dexterity, and it's going to be about anaerobics. Um, we also know why it's being covered, right? And that's an important part of the thesis, is to justify your topic being covered. So the reason it's being covered is that it's misunderstood. And most people only think of it as sort of part of a good exercise routine, but really if you do weightlifting correctly, then it can be much more than that. Don't take it from me. I'm about to support it in the next speech in the body. But for right now, we'll just leave it at that. They really are a little more in-depth, but they're not super in-depth. They're always just a sentence. So they don't just name your topic. They really are very specific about it. Finally, it's the overview and transition, right? The overview, or what I call a roadmap, is sort of covers the basic gist of each body section that's going to come after the introduction. And it really does it in one sentence, sometimes two, if it's really complex. But really, it should be, your roadmap should be one sentence that covers really basic look at what's going to happen. And then finally, the transition actually transitions the listener to the body sections. It lets them know that the introduction is over. So a good example of a roadmap would be, in this speech, I will explain what resistance training is and how it can help your body grow stronger, how lifting weights increases your overall dexterity, and how, contrary to popular belief, you can get a good aerobic workout from lifting weights. So the transition would be, while weightlifting is often only referred to as resistance training, it can be so much more. Still, it all starts with making your body work against gravity to get stronger. So, as we can see, right, the transition leads directly into our first body section, which, guess what? It's going to be about resistance training. It's done into 1 to 3. I prefer that you keep it at 1, and it's really each area that's going to be covered. So each body paragraph, in a nutshell. And the transition lets the audience know that it's all over. So when we put it all together, guess what? We've got an introduction. So this is what the AGD, SOP, thesis, and OT look like when they're put together. According to Research Daily News 2015, an ant can lift over 5,000 times its body weight. That's pretty impressive, but don't count us humans out yet. Currently, according to the New Scientist 2015, the current max amount a human can lift is over 800 pounds. That's about 7 times the body weight of an average human. And remember, a human weighs a lot more than an ant. Hi, my name is Nathan Hulsey, and I'm here today to explain how weightlifting is a great exercise. While it's commonly misunderstood as being an incomplete workout, weightlifting is actually a full spectrum exercise that includes resistance training, dexterity, and anaerobics. In this speech, I'll explain what resistance training is and how it can help your body go stronger, how lifting weights increases your overall dexterity, and how, contrary to popular belief, you can get a good anaerobic workout only from lifting weights. While weightlifting is often referred to as only resistance training, it can be so much more. Still, it all starts with making your body work against gravity to get stronger. Boom! All in all, because I used this formula, AGD, SOP, thesis, and OT, this really only took me a couple of minutes to write. Of course, granted, I did all the research ahead of time, but once I had those sources, it really just comes together in a very formulaic kind of way. So stick with this formula and you'll be able to bang out an introduction real quick. And believe me, it comes down very handy if somebody walks in and says, I need you to cover this in a meeting, and you want to do a good job instead of stuttering and stammering and jumping all over the place. You literally can put this formula to use in your everyday life, work, whatever you're doing. You get in trouble with your girlfriend or boyfriend, it's great to be able to put together an introduction that will hopefully get you out. So just remember, use this formula, and 1, you'll get a good grade, but 2, this is how public speaking is done. Thanks.